Today we're checking out the brand new Apple Watch Series 9. Today I have both models with me here. I have the 41mm as well as the 45mm version. We're going to be unboxing both of them and sharing my initial impressions with you guys here today. Now the Series 9 brings some pretty impressive improvements to the display, the performance, and also introduces a new double tap gesture to control the watch. So essentially seems to be bringing some neat upgrades and refinements over last year's Series 8, which at the time I actually called the best Apple Watch for most people. And from what it's looking like, the Series 9 may just take that title. Today we'll talk about what is new and look at the features that are available. We'll also talk about what's in the box, and I'll also share my buying advice as someone who's worn an Apple Watch all the way back since the Series 3. As always guys, I will leave all the purchase links down in the description. But first, to celebrate the growth of this channel and to thank you for your incredible support, I am doing a giveaway on this brand new iPhone 15 Pro. And if you want a chance to win, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your favorite feature of either the new 15 Pro or the new Apple Watch Series 9, and then follow me on Instagram at Dion Schuddeboom, where I'll announce the winner on the 31st of October. Alright, let's unbox. So I'm really excited to unbox any tech, but especially the latest Apple Watches, since for me, the Apple Watch has really been a product that's had a huge impact on my life, especially when it comes to setting and then tracking healthy habits, especially when it comes to exercise and activity. So to see new updates to that watch or to that product is always particularly interesting to me. So let's see what the Series 9 has to offer. Now, first of all, we can see that the boxes are actually a fair bit smaller compared to previous years. Now, according to Apple, they're actually 25% smaller, and this is of course better for the environment. It also saves Apple on shipping costs, costs that unfortunately are not passed down to us as consumers, as the price remains the same at $399 for the 41mm version, which is this bottom version here. Let's go ahead and start with that and unbox. So here we have these two pull tabs on the sides. There we go. And then we're gonna lift this open, and voila, we have that same really colorful interior on the packaging. I love seeing this. I think it's great to see the different color combinations, as well as the different bands that they have to offer. And then inside here, we have two boxes. So we have a box for your watch case and then also for the watch band. Now, as I go through this video, I'm going to talk about the decision I made with regards to the watch case, as well as the band that I chose to buy with it, as there are so many options to choose from, and that is great, but there's also definitely options you want to stay away from, and certain options that I can recommend more over others. And I'll talk about why as I go. So let's go ahead and move the outer packaging off to the side here, and let's take a look inside. So here we have the watch case. We got two pull tabs here, 1 and 2. There we go. And let's lift this open and take a look inside. There we go. All right, so we have the watch sitting here on the left side in this little paper sort of pouch here to protect it. I'm going to pull that out. There we go, looking good, super clean here, very nice. So as you can see, I decided to go for the midnight version of the Series 8. Now, this is also the Series 9, I mean. I've also have that for my Series 8. You can see I'm wearing that on the wrist here. And the reason I decided to go for the midnight color is because I find the midnight color to be most versatile when it comes to not just pairing with other bands, but also with outfits. A darker color like midnight, which I think from a distance can almost appear as if black, will mix and match with anything. So I think this is a great place to start, especially if you want your watch to blend in for both casual as well as say more formal settings. And over here on the right, we have the Designed by Apple in California little pouch here, which will have the cable. There we go. Now, of course, the Series 9 is capable of fast charging, just like the Series 8 was, which is great to see, especially if you charge your watch in the morning. Let me just gracefully take this out of the packaging here. Yeah, professional unboxer. Here we go. So there we have the charging puck here, very familiar. This is the same as with all other Apple Watches. I think the only difference though is that this is now braided. To my understanding, or if I remember correctly, the cable for the Series 8 was not braided, and this was previously only for the Apple Watch Ultra, which I've also done an unboxing on, by the way, so I'll be sure to leave that link down below. But great to see a braided cable, just a little bit more durable, and also feels nicer to the touch. And then lastly, we have some paperwork, so that's literally just one little page here of the quick start and warranty information. Great, so let's go ahead and put this off to the side and take a look at the band. All right, so here we go, guys. This is the sports band. Now, there are many bands to choose from. I think that's great that Apple offers such variety, but I decided to go for the classic sports band, and I will tell you why. So, first of all, the sports band here, as you can see, it has such a nice understated look. It also feels really soft to the touch, which I think is one of the things I really like about this band. It's just how comfortable it is to wear. I can wear this all day and night, even at night. So if say you're sleep tracking, you don't want to be wearing something leather or metal. Instead, you want this nice and soft silicone. For working out, it is also great because again, it's just soft on the wrist. And the nice thing is it's super easy to clean. You don't have to worry about getting it wet. Simply have a little bowl, add a bit of dish soap, some warm water, leave it in there for say 10-20 minutes and then rinse it off and then your band is nice and clean. So let's go and take a look here. Now the midnight color is a dark blue. I'm just going to compare to make sure it is in fact the same. That looks the same as on the Series 8. Great shade, again, super versatile, and from a distance has a slightly sharper, a little bit of a more formal look, but still sporty, of course, considering the material choices. So I'm just going to put my Series 8 there for reference. Let's go ahead and put the band on. So with all Apple Watches, super easy to do. Simply slide it on. And there we go. So this is the 41mm. Let's go ahead and turn this on. And while we wait for this watch to boot, let's unbox the 45mm version and do a brief side-by-side comparison in terms of the physical sizes of the watches. Here we go. Let's go. 45mm. Let's do a speed unboxing. How fast can I do this? There we go. Pull tab 1. Pull tab 2. There we go. And here it is. So as you can see, definitely a little bit bigger, so you immediately do feel that in the hand. Still very slim though, so on the wrist this will still sit very comfortably. Also low enough to say easily be slid under a cuff if say you're wearing a dress shirt or even like a sweater or something. You don't want something that's too bulky, so I find the Apple Watch is always great for that. Let me go ahead and add the band to this. All right, so here we go, guys. On the desk, I now have both Apple Watches unboxed and side by side. So we have the 41mm version on the right, and then the 45mm version here on the left. And as you can see, side by side, there definitely is quite a substantial difference. And this is also reflected in how the watches act in terms of the usability and also how they wear on the wrist. As 4mm may not sound like a lot, but when you're talking about a display of this size, a couple of millimeters really goes a long way. So what I'm going to do is actually put both on my wrist here just to give you a sense of how they look. Now at this moment I would like to address something that I've heard mentioned in the comments many times, and that is people thinking I wear my watch upside down. Now in a way that is true, but as someone who is actually left-handed, I prefer to have my watch on my right hand. Now normally speaking, if I were to wear say the Apple Watch the quote-unquote right way up, the digital crown would be on the top right, as you can see, of the watch, and this means that if I were to access it, I'm covering the display. This way, if I rotate the watch, I no longer have to cover the screen to use the digital crown. So if you are left-handed or if you do wear your watch on the right hand, in the settings, you are able to change the orientation of your watch to have it so that the digital crown sits on the left side. Believe me, this is much greater, a much more comfortable way to use the watch, even though some people will think you wear your watch upside down. All right, let's go ahead and put on the other Series 9 here. So this would be the 45mm version. And let me give you a sense of how these two compare on the wrist. Let me get both my arms in the shot here. Now, for reference, I have 155mm wrists, which I would say is probably just below average or on the lower end, if you say, for men. So that is something to bear in mind as well. Of course, if you have a larger wrist, then different sizes may look more proportionate. But I would say if your wrist is anywhere like mine in terms of the size, I find actually the 41mm version to look more proportionate and better on the wrist compared to the 45mm version. As you can see here, both look good. I think ultimately both work, but I like the fact that on the 41mm version, there's no overhang and the band just sits more flush. Where on the 45mm version, you can see it is definitely snug, but still there's more overhang on the sides and the screen just about stretches almost to the edges of my wrist. Now, another major area where the differences in the displays really show is in the user interface when it comes to interacting with the watch, reading text on the display, seeing more or less text at a time, roads and maps. And for that, you will have to subscribe and stay tuned for my upcoming full-on comparison between the 41 and 45mm Apple Watches to really give you the more comprehensive look and feel of how these two compare. As today is really more of a design comparison looking at the proportions, but the user interface plays a big role. So again, be sure to subscribe to not miss that video. But to recap the difference in sizes, in my opinion, if your wrist is anywhere around 155 millimeters in circumference, so that's measuring around the wrist, go for the 41 millimeter version. Not only does it save you a bit of cash, I think it looks more proportionate on the wrist. Now let's talk about the colors. So the Series 9 comes in Starlight, in Midnight, and that is the color I have here. It also comes in a brand new pink color, which I think is cool. And we have also the return of red, which I know some people really like. Actually, my dad used to have a red Apple Watch and then pair it with a Midnight band. Kind of cool, nice way to add a touch of color. So I'm glad to see the red color back. But again, I chose to go for Midnight, and it is the color that I would recommend for most of you since it is the most understated and will pair best with your outfits. Again, formal, casual wear, and also with the widest range of bands. I think there's no color band that you can add to this and where it just wouldn't work, whether it be lighter, darker, even metal bands. Leather, it all works with the Midnight color. So if you're not sure which color to get, definitely go for the Midnight. Now earlier I mentioned fast charging, and both the Series 9 models do of course still have fast charging, which is really great, and this will allow you to charge from 10 to 80% in just 30 to roughly 45 minutes. And I charge my watch in the morning whilst I get ready for the day, and this is great because this means that when I wake up, I put my watch on charge, and then by the time I've showered, shaved, etc., my watch is pretty much ready to go for the entire day. And this also allows you to use it, say, at night for sleep tracking, as you can just charge it in the morning. Now, in terms of battery life, Apple quote the same 18 hours of battery life for the Series 9, as they've also done for the 8, 7, I believe 6. It goes really far back. While I've never measured this in hours, what I will say is the Series 8 has lasted me all day in terms of battery life, and so I would expect the same from the Series 9, by which I really mean charging it briefly in the morning to roughly 80-90%, using it throughout the day, and then ending with, say, around 10% or so the next morning when I go to charge. So definitely lasts me all day and night. But how you set up your watch does really matter. Now, I've done extensive guides on how I've set up my watch in terms of settings, features, which I keep on, which I turn off, to really maximize both the functionality, but also the battery life of the Apple Watch. I think there's a real balance that you can strike there. So if you want to learn more about that, I'll leave my videos linked in the description on how to best set up your Apple Watch. Okay, so we've now unboxed the watches. I've talked to you guys about why I chose these particular models, colors, and band combinations, and which size I suggest you go for. But what's actually new about the Series 9? Now, the biggest differences, or really the only differences, are on the inside. As from the outside, well, as you can see here, compared to my Series 8, they're pretty much the same, if not identical. I believe on the back it will say Series 9 on one and then Series 8 on the other, but that's really the only difference. The only way to tell that this is in fact the newer model. But on the inside, the differences are quite substantial, and the first of which is the new S9 chip that of course both sizes of the Series 9 now get, including the Ultra actually as well, and this promises better performance. Now, in my experience, the Series 8 has always been very snappy during day-to-day use, switching between apps, launching apps, etc. But on some larger apps such as Mail or Maps, it can sometimes still take just a millisecond or two longer than you'd want it to. So if it is now snappier and even faster on the Series 9, I would consider that a very welcome change. Now, this chip is also promised to be slightly more efficient. Now, Apple does quote the same battery life. These screens are now brighter. In fact, they go up to 2000 nits, which is double that of the Series 8. And this is something that I really look forward to, as while I would say the Series 8 display is visible in the sun, there are moments where I do wish it was just a little bit brighter. So having double the brightness here is really great. And I do think that even if the S9 chip is more efficient, the higher brightness of the display will probably sort of cancel that difference out and thus gives you roughly the same battery as on the Series 8. Now, a feature I really look forward to testing is hand gestures. Now, unfortunately, this is not officially out yet and is actually coming next month, but I'm definitely very keen to check this out, and that is called hand gestures, where it will actually enable one-hand operation of the Apple Watch with a double tap. So on screen, you have essentially a primary button, so the primary function, so say you get a call, a double tap with the finger will essentially answer that call, or decline it once you're done talking, or say if you're in a list of options in settings, for example, the first menu on that list, double tap, and it will then open, or you can start a timer, etc., stop a timer. And this is a really cool way, I think, to add more functionality to the watch, as sometimes your hands are full and then you want to quickly dismiss a notification or answer a call. You don't want to drop what you're doing. Instead, just double tap and you should be able to answer that call with one hand. I'm really curious to see how accurate or not accurate this is going to be, as I think this is one of the things that can really make or break this feature, as it has to be reliable and dependable in order for me to to really use it or to be able to recommend it. But again, that's something I'm gonna have to test for the full review, so be sure to stay tuned for that. And something that I haven't touched on, but I think is a really great achievement on Apple's part, is that some combinations of the Apple Watch Series 9 as well as the Apple Watch Ultra are now completely carbon neutral. Now, not all combinations, in fact, the one that I have here today is not, unfortunately, as you will need to have a specific band. The silicone band, unfortunately, is not. But if you pair it with the right band, you can actually have a completely carbon neutral Apple Watch. So the outer materials, such as the the aluminum of the case, the glass, even the cobalt in the battery is actually recycled. And this is really cool to see. And also all the energy that's put into manufacturing and delivering these products, apparently all of that has been accounted for. Now, I do want to read more into this to really see where they get these claims from and how they back them up. But on the surface, just based on my impressions, I think that's a really great thing for any company to strive for, and a really cool achievement on Apple's part. But other than that, in terms of new features, as you can see, there really isn't that much to mention here, especially when you're comparing the Series 9 to the Series 8. All in all, I would say this really looks like a typical example where small improvements and refinements are added to a product that really is already great. The Series 8, not to say it's perfect, but I do believe it is the best Apple Watch, or rather the best smartwatch that is currently out there. And the Series 9, with its new features, better processor, better longevity, performance, etc., I think is only going to push that lead even further. So let's talk about upgrading. Now, as you can see, the differences between the Series 8 and the Series 9 are relatively slim. So if, say, you are on the Series 8 currently, I think there is no reason to upgrade to the Series 9. This is more meant for those who, say, are on older versions, such as the Series 4 or Series 5, or even, say, an SE, as then going to the Series 9 will be a big difference. Now, another question is, if, say, you are on an older model Apple Watch, would you upgrade, or should you upgrade to the Series 9 and essentially pay full price for that? Or should you get the Series 8, which you will undoubtedly be able to find for a slight discount in the coming months or year ahead? I would say probably $50 to maybe $70 off or so. And I think this question really depends on what you look for in a smartwatch. I think if you're trying out your first Apple Watch, the SE is a great option, or say a Series 8 will also work out really well, as it will save you a bit of cash. But if, say, you are already an experienced Apple Watch user and you know you really enjoy having an Apple Watch, I would say go for the Series 9 for this key reason, and that is that new processor, that S9 chip inside, as this is going to contribute to better longevity and then also bring those additional features such as that double tap gesture as well, but mainly for the longevity and the performance, because it buys you a watch that's going to last you for many years to come. Anyway, guys, I can't wait to start using and testing the Apple Watch Series 9. So I have lots more Apple Watch content coming very soon. My full review, I have comparison videos. Again, a more in-depth size comparison video, also looking at the UI. I'm going to compare the Series 9 to the previous Series 8 and also to the SE2 to give you the best possible advice on which model to buy if you're looking for an Apple Watch. So be sure to subscribe to not miss out on any of those videos. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.